Are you a good boy, Chester? Well, hey, vinyl community, Elliot here, Lazy Dogs Records. I got a record review for you today, and it's of Molly Tuttle and Golden Highway, her most recent album, and it's called Crooked Tree. It's on None Such Records. Came out maybe a month ago, something like that. I listened to it about 5 times now. I wanted to give it several good listens. Listen to it on the upstairs stereo, the downstairs stereo, with headphones, without headphones, listening carefully to the lyrics, working while it played, doing other things, intently with the lights off, concentrating on the instrumentation, everything you could think of, so I could give you hopefully a good quality review of this album. And got mine. I pre-ordered it when I found out she had an album coming out. From I guess I went to her website, which sent me to the None Such website where I pre-ordered it. And first I'll talk to you a little bit about the packaging, which I'll get that out of the way before we talk about the music itself. It's not a gatefold. It's a single, just front and back, and some great photography there. But it comes with a nice glossy liner, not liner notes, but liner booklet. Really like that photograph. I believe that's a pre-war guitar. Pre-war meaning the company that makes those guitars. If I'm not mistaken, she does play those sometimes anyway. But it comes with some more photography and the lyrics. There's just similar to the cover, and I like this one. I like this photograph here, and more the rest of the lyrics for her songs, and on the back. Okay, and because it was a pre-order, it also came with a postcard that she autographed. I thought that was a nice little gift for pre-ordering. Nothing, I'm not crazy about, I'll buy them, but I'm not crazy about having colored vinyl or anything like this. This feels like it may be 180, but it wasn't advertised as 180 gram. It's probably 160, 140, something like that, because it doesn't. Usually, if it is, they'll make sure they say it in the promos for it. And I don't recall that, but black vinyl, which is actually colored vinyl too, and it came. I hate paper sleeves. I don't know about you, but it gets the record dirty, little fibers of paper and everything. This is actually None Such does put them on the paper sleeve that's has an inner poly lining, but I go ahead whenever I clean them, and I clean my records as soon as I get them. I don't listen to them first to decide whether I should or not. I just do. I think it works out better that way, and I'll put my own poly liner even in that, so that there's less likely to get paper trash on the record. So it was produced by Molly Tuttle and Jerry Douglas, the great dobro player. Engineered and mixed by Sean Sullivan. Mastered by Paul Blakemore. And it was recorded in Studio B in Nashville at Ocean Way Studio. It's a good, clean-sounding acoustic album, and I think that's what I look for in acoustic albums. Is it clean? Is it? I hesitate to use the word crisp because people often say crisp as a negative, but good, clean recording. The instruments are, and there again, use the word bright. That's supposed to be a negative. To me, bright is in my mind, in my vocabulary, bright is a good thing. The true sound of the instruments, I believe, is what we're hearing on the recording. But what it's all about in album review is the music. That's what's important. How is the music? Well, this is a very bluegrassy album. I'd hesitate to out and out call it a quote unquote bluegrass album because that term's thrown around way too carelessly these days and applied to lots of music that does not meet the confines of what actual bluegrass is. Not take away from it. I like all that stuff, but it's not a pure traditional bluegrass album. But it is a darn good bluegrassy album. Put it that way. She's got lots of special guests: Margot Price, Billy Strings, Old Crow Medicine Show, Dan Tominski, Sierra Hull, Gillian Welch. But none of these guest artists take away from this being a Molly Tuttle album. They do not come in on a song or two and take over. They are just a part of the group presentation. Honestly, I would have preferred that Molly just do a Molly Tuttle and Golden Highway album. Let her band, her traveling band, be the recording artists on all of these songs, without bringing in other artists. But it's a tradition in the acoustic world, string band, bluegrass, newgrass, Americana. It's this kind of a tradition. You bring in your friends to play the mandolin on this track or sing harmony vocals on that one. But it could have been just as well done by Golden Highway. Outstanding musicians, and they play on the album. It's just that they aren't featured as much or on all of the songs. Molly does all the songwriting. She co-writes on several of the songs and is the only writer on others. And regardless of whether she's the sole songwriter or has a writing partner, all excellent lyrically, and the melodies are beautiful melodies, and the arrangements are excellent. As far as the album as a whole, there are recurring themes in this album, and that one of them is kind of a sense of individuality, and we see that reflected in She'll Change. I believe that's the opening track there. The title track, Crooked Tree. Goodbye Girl. Interesting, Goodbye Girl. We have so many songs about guys that are leaving to go on the road, or having to leave their companion, leaving her behind at home to take care of the home front, and the guy's always the one that's leaving. Well, not in this case. A female perspective on this particular song. Goodbye Girl. She's you love her when she's there, but guess what? You're gonna wake up one morning and she's gone, and she don't care. So I thought that was an interesting twist. Side Saddle, great song. Love it. Maybe my favorite song, along with one other I'll talk about in a moment, is a song called Side Saddle, and we'll play you an excerpt from Side Saddle.
To the cattle drive, and when the trail boss said that a girl can't ride, I wrote
Doesn't that make you want to just sing along? I love that song. Another theme I hear running through the album is about place, being displaced, having finding our place in the world, and feeling comfortable in one's place. And the songs like Flatland Girl, she was her grandparents lived on a farm in southern Illinois, and this is kind of a song about that. Big Backyard, kind of a thing about, it's what do I always say? Be kind to your neighbors, because we're all neighbors. It's kind of a we're all neighbors theme in that song, which Old Crow Medicine Show does with her on that one. Nashville Mess Around and San Francisco Blues even touch on some themes about, kind of being maybe pushed out or displaced. So the sense of place is kind of a recurring theme in there. So that's the two main things I get from it: individuality and a sense of place. Maybe my favorite song on here is Grass Valley. There's a lot of sentimentality and nostalgia in this song, but it's not a negative. I don't believe. I think there's certainly a place for nostalgia and sentimentality, and this is kind of like a tribute to her father, who is also a musician, and Grass Valley is kind of wordy, and she kind of sings the first little bit of it, and then it gets going. But despite that, I really like this because it had to be a little wordy, because it's trying to put you in a place and a time that she experienced. It's about her and her father going to the Grass Valley Bluegrass Festival when she was 10 years old. That's what it's about, and it was a turning point in her life. It's one of those moments, and I just can't imagine the pride and joy her father got when he heard that song for the first time, and every time he hears it, because he put her in the place to have an opportunity to find her place in the world with this song. And the lyrics are just, very good. I'll play you a little excerpt from Grass Valley now.
We drove past the welcome sign, people playing neath the pines, heard the music floating from the stage. Pitched our tent and walked around, my heart open to the sound. I didn't know it then, but my life had turned a page. Standing round jamming to the sound of Little Annie, baptized in the campgrounds of Grass Valley. Deadheads in tie-dye array, dog music devotees like nothing I had ever heard or seen. There's jam grass for the hippies, old stuff from the 50s, just about nothing in between. I stood and tried to play along, though I only knew a couple songs, while bolder kids sat in with the band. I watched and envied from afar, head bowed down over my guitar, praying to catch that magic in my hands. Standing round jamming to the sounds of Little Annie, baptized in the campgrounds of Grass Valley. Some years have passed, now I'm back here in the foothills of old them songs being played, they're singing in the shade of the pine trees. A shy kid with a mandolin, I can see her on the sideline staring at me. She looks just like I did the first time that I came to Grass Valley. Standing round jamming to the sounds of Little Annie.
In conclusion, this is the Molly Tuttle album I've been waiting for. I liked her kind of modern folk first album. I enjoyed her covers album during the pandemic. But neither of those, I thought, really showed what a great artist, musician Molly Tuttle is. And I think she just kind of was holding back on those. We really get it on this album. You really hear those great guitar runs, the beautiful melodies, the great musicianship that she brings to the table with this much closer to bluegrass album than the others she's done. And this is a true album. I think that's important. You know, when the end of vinyl, what we thought was the end of vinyl, and the introduction of CDs, when you had much more space to put songs on, I think we lost some of that. Not necessarily that it's a concept album, but that it has a continuity to it. A side A that starts and moves to the last song on that side, you know, fitting each song, having the proper place, flipping it over to side 2, and then it continues and it draws to a conclusion at the end. That's what we get from this album. That's really what we get from this album, and I think that's a sign of a really good album for someone who enjoys vinyl, because otherwise, what do you have? You just have a collection of songs that, with no rhyme or reason, put together on a CD or an album or MP3 or whatever. So this is back to what in the mid 60s, I'd say, into the mid 80s, we could experience as music lovers. An album that is a cohesive collection of music, a statement made by the artist, and that's what we get here. So bravo to Molly Tuttle and Golden Highway for doing that. This album is fun. Listen to Side Saddle. You heard it. You know what I'm talking about. It's sentimental at times. It's nostalgic at times. But it's not overbearing in those ways that we can get sometimes when it's kind of shoved in your face. It's reflective, proclaiming her individuality and a person's right to be their own person without, being preachy about it. Just as a statement of fact, I guess, more than anything else. But here's how you know it's a really good album. It made me want to pick up my mandolin or my guitar and practice like I never seem to find time to do anymore, because the music is so good. I wish I could emulate that in some way. And also, it makes me can't wait to see what Molly Tuttle has for us next. So there we go. There's a review of Crooked Tree from Molly Tuttle and Golden Highway. Go out and get it if it's something you think you might be interested in. Everybody, I'll just remind you, please be kind to your neighbors, because folks, we're all neighbors.